I recall our time in her kitchen best. She would talk me through stripping the callaloo as she stood over a big metal pot on her stove. She told me how she made each dish, but I can't remember anything but the wrinkles in her fingers, glasses perched on her nose, light pink house dress roller set hair with streaks of moonlight silver, and the smell that rose from the kitchen. It drew everyone near. When I heard my uncle's moped approach, I was convinced it was fueled by those kitchen scents. Her Hartford home was a declaration of who she was. It was a place where all 6 of her children and countless grandchildren could find a home-cooked meal and a warm bed. To a little girl from East Flatbush who lived in a one-family home, her house looked like a mansion to me, with 2 dogs and a manicured yard, no apartment buildings in sight, no corner stores, but there was an ice cream shop. Nellie took pride in her home and her family. It was always clean and always smelled like summer, except when it smelled like a meal. Her figurines and china were only second to the framed pictures of my aunts and uncles that lined her walls. Summer nights in Connecticut were anything but quiet. It was hard for me to sleep. The crickets, the wind blowing through the garden, and the dog tags all made the dark night a scary mystery to me. But Grandma Nellie and her nurse's wife would always stop by to say goodnight, tuck me in, kiss my forehead, pull my blankets over me, and hush me to sleep before she would pull in the door and take one last peep. She would return home in the morning before we would make. With barely any rest, she would direct us in our house chores and return to the kitchen where she would prepare our rewards. She loved having her family around, and she wasted no time creating memories for us children. She was proud of the life she made as an immigrant girl from a small town in Jamaica. She attributed the success to one thing. The word made her proud and stiffened her back. A nurse for more than 30 years. Yes, Nellie was proud of that. My grandma belonged to an elite organization that was on one hand world-renowned and on the other locally underestimated. She would say, "There's a big-chested string-pull posture about a nurse," as I would sit in her mirror and play with her brushes while she dressed for her afternoon shift. It would be years later before I would learn what she meant. It is when I was ill and most vulnerable that a woman in purple would do for me what my grandmother did for so many throughout her life. When this experience ended, I saw my grandmother differently. I missed her even more and imagined what she would do at the hospital after she closed my bedroom door. I was proud of my grandmother, of her craft, of her life. My grandmother stood tall even though she was tiny. She required that same posture of me. What I learned about her pride was simple. It was clear to me that this disposition doesn't come from completing the rigorous coursework of a trade. It doesn't come from passing exams of the state. This pride and position is not given as a requisite for the accomplishment of obtaining competitive portable employment, nor it is the remarkable wealth of an ever-growing ladder of opportunity. It is true, all of this may be the allure of the career. However, none are the cause of the stature of a nurse. That high-chested, tall-string walk comes from an earned membership into a sisterhood of merit, a sisterhood filled with brothers, an unsung group of professionals who find accomplishment in giving comfort to the weakest of us. You see, a patient can be in a world of pain. The fear and their anger often sound the same. But a nurse like my grandma can comfort a turning storm. And when the body attached to a scared, wandering mind gets cold in the darkened sheets of a hospital dorm, she has a blanket of compassion to make you feel safe and warm. When she creeps into your room late at night, she won't move on until she knows you're sleeping tight. Those who've mastered the skill of this lifestyle often more than not become surrogate grandmother, sister, brother, friend, caregiver, advocate. And for those who in their most difficult moments unwittingly turn over all autonomy to a stranger. For those who are most often left alone. The knowingness of a nurse comes from holding hands and gripping heavenly laden spirits. Their position does not come from the glamour of a designer label, but from the humility in looking past their own pride and humanity to see the need, the fear, and the good in the most challenging of personalities. A nurse is made by the lessons he learns about the nature of humanity while he nurtures its illness. A nurse is made by the sickness. A nurse is made by the chaos of life's beginning in tragedy of an incurable brokenness, in hollow moments of an unexpected last breath. She bears much of our burden, even when our burden ends. So when you see then, and you recognize that string-pulled, big-chested walk at the end of a shift, acknowledge her pride and thank her for her gift. My grandma's not here, but when I hear her name, Nellie Miller, I stand tall and walk straight, for that is what she would have expected me to do as the granddaughter of a nurse. So to Grandma Nellie and you, happy Nurses Week, and thank you for all that you do.